And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Diamond Gladiators. It is SHIN. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Blue Protoss player from South Korea. It is Classic. Here we go. As our series will continue. Well, I guess the series will commence. And we should be seeing a very different dynamic. I would say that SHIN, he's a lot more quirky compared to Rogue. Again, like I was emphasizing earlier, we didn't really get there, is that typically Rogue, he does play things out towards the mid to late game in ZvP, typically gearing up towards Hydra Lurker tech, which is what we saw him attempt to do in every single game. Even on El Dorado, where we saw Rogue actually end the game a little bit earlier, that was because Hero was all in. Remember, Hero, he was forced into an all in because he had lost so many probes across the map that he had to commit into a push. SHIN otherwise would have enjoyed to just, Rogue would have otherwise liked to have enjoyed just chilling back and taking into Lurker tech as well. SHIN is not that kind of player. SHIN is more active, SHIN is more aggressive, he's more diverse when it comes to his play, when it comes to his build. Rogue nowadays is a little bit more one note, at least in ZvP, I should emphasize that. SHIN less so. So I'm expecting a more dynamic PvZ this time. As again, game 1, Whispers of Gold. Let's go. Let us go. Classic gonna be walling up. Likewise, SHIN getting his natural standard opener so far. And once again, we're loading into one of the smaller maps of the map pool. Aggression is going to be favored here from both sides. We saw Hero popping off previously, just pulling pulling Rogue apart in his series. We'll see if Classic can do something similar. We shall see. So now do have our hatch gas pull. SHIN, he pulls out of gas. Does pull out of gas. Oh, also, before I forget, my apologies. Sorry, I just... before I forget, big shout out to Jimmy, to Jimmy, Fabio Jimmy. Jimmy actually gave us a big raid at the start of the stream during the countdown. I was a little bit preoccupied when it came to setting the stream up, so I do apologize when it comes to catching up to the chat. But big shout out to Jimmy. Thank you, Papi, thank you. As by now he should be asleep, and if he's not, go to bed. God damn it. I know it's very late if you're in the land of Europa. I know it's very, very late there, getting up to midnight or past midnight. So thank you for all those that are tuning in from the European region, but also, get some rest. Take care of yourselves. Take care. And thank you for tuning in. So big shout out to Jimmy. I'm sure he's inspired by Hero's Mass Oracle play. For better or for worse. Oh no. As we are just calming things down. Once again, opening up Oracle from Classic, which is what we expect. Oracle opener into a third base. From here, when will that Twilight Council be thrown down? We're looking for that timing. As the Oracle dips into the natural. SHIN's in position, he's got his 2 queens. Despite that, 1, 2, 3, 4 drones going to be going down. With the Star stepping the base, the Oracle takes a lot of hits, but will survive just barely. Does escape. The Oracle pulls out. So far, decent damage here by Classic. The Oracle did take a lot of hull damage, but so far, so good. Does keep it alive. Does keep it alive. Behind this Evo chamber on the way. There's that Twilight Council at the halfway mark, so we should be seeing a Twilight Council alongside a Forge. A standard follow-up here out of Classic. And here comes the initial move out. Now, we saw this opener previously from Rogue. SHIN is going into the faster Evo chamber into plus on melee. This typically leads into Ling Hydra. I want to emphasize typically because SHIN has been playing a lot with mutas as of late. And that is also an option. As ZvP commits. So far, making the way into the mineral line. Lings are trying to keep up, but there's not that many Lings. Ooh, takes out one. Takes out one adept. Gets a second. 3 adepts left. Lings able back just in time. Shades into the main, and Lings there ready and waiting. Okay, ready and waiting. 2 drone kills for, what was that, 6 adepts? Better trade for SHIN. So solid defense here from SHIN. Despite that, Oracles, they come in for a second wave. Ooh. Getting up to 3. What else? Getting up to 3 more drones, but 1 Oracle goes down. Ay, ay, ay. Against Spores, they hit harder now. Classic force back. Likewise, SHIN across the map. Oh, friends are run by. Oracle's in position. Classic defense. And if you recall, I assumed it was going to be +1 in Blink, but no, my apologies. It's going to be +1 in Charge instead. Getting to Charge, shots into a Charge Archon-based composition. Temple Archives on the way into Storm. And this is going to be a much more aggressive setup here from Classic. And if SHIN skips Roaches, he could be in trouble. Speaking of, Baneley Nest. This confirms that SHIN, he's going to be skipping Roaches, going Ling Bane into Hydra Tech. And it's going to be an intense kind of dynamic between the 2 armies as Storm is on the way. So basically, SHIN is going to be working with a very fragile composition. Ling, Bane, Hydra, all things that are light-based units, all things that just get annihilated by splash damage, by Storm, and by Archons. So it's not going to be easy here. Push SHIN to engage. Of course, once he gets into Lurkers, different story. That is once Lurkers hit. So now nice start stepping. Classic shaving off Lings. Looking to expand and get a 4th. SHIN though still being active. Coming in for the surround, not bad. Charge is not done. Neither is +1. Better trade here for SHIN. Catches out the Zealots, pulls away once the Oracles arrive. Very nice efficiency. Pulls back. Likewise, SHIN just focusing on his Ling, Bane, Hydra. Of course, seeing all those Zealots he knows. He knows the kind of competition he's up against. Baneling speed is on the way, and he needs those Banelings. As that is going to be the answer to the problem that is this more Zealot, High Templar based composition. Joining up to 78. Solid drone count. Focusing on his army. Massing up. Going for a massive Baneling run, but he gets found. Oh, he gets spotted. Classic sees everything. He's aware of the Banelings. Stasis is denied. He's baited ahead of time. Archon's forced to respond. Side defense on the way. And SHIN, he doesn't go for the run by. He knows he got scouted. Meets up with the main army. Storm is done, and can he get on top of those High Templar? Can he break through the storms? He's going in. Does go for the dive. Ooh, brutal storm on the Ling Bane. Lands 2, lands 3. Yeah, there's 1 storm left. Banelings, they graze the arm, but they do not take down the High Templar. Hydras, they get on top of the base. And Banelings, once again, they zone. They're going for the mineral line. And probes are going down. The base falls. And can he break through the Archons? Up! Oh, barely not. Again, in a head-on fight, SHIN, he cannot contest against this, but Classic was out of position. He had his Immortals here on the right-hand side. Some of the Archons as well. He was ready for that Baneling run-by, the run-by that never came. And SHIN, he got the base. That's all he wanted, to bring down the expansion. From here, SHIN, he backs off, he regroups. Remember, he's on 78 workers. He's at that ideal drone count. Then he just focus on remaxing, rebuilding, and going in once again. And he wants High Templar. Up! He wants them. He gets 1. Gets 1. Gets 2. There's 2 left. Zoning back the army. And there's just not enough here for Classic. The numbers are not there. He needs more Archons. More Immortals. That was the final storm. And once again, the base goes down. Denies the expansion. Takes down 2 Immortals. And SHIN, he breaks through. He has done. He's broken the back of Classic. Takes down every single high-tech unit. Getting another Immortal. Another one goes down. And SHIN, he rotates, he responds. Takes down the pylon. Pushing in towards the natural. And Classic, he was just torn apart. Even, oh my god, the Artosis Pylon depowering the Robo. Everything gets depowered. And with that, the boys are being pulled. Passes out the Archon. Classic, he will hold for now. But behind this, Shin, he's just remaxing, rebuilding once again. Again, he finished droning a long time ago. And the aggression does not end. And something that we should have tried to have emphasized here that we bring up typically when we load into Whispers of Gold is how indefendable your 4th and 3rd are. Again, there's no choke point, there's no ramp coming into these bases. It is much more difficult to hold on to compared to Abyssal Reef, Neon Violet Square, even maps like Ultra Love. Here it is so much more exposed. As you can see, Classic struggling to defend, and here come those Banelings. Towards the mineral line, towards the High Templar. Ooh, big connections, catching out 2 of them. There's 2 left. And Shin, he dives in and takes on the final High Templar. There's no more storms remaining. GG gets called, and Shin, he will take game number 1. Whew. GG. Does take the game. And does take a lead in the series. Again, just hyper aggression out of Shin. This is what you mentioned. This is what we alluded to when talking about how aggression is favored on Whispers of Gold. It isn't just the rush distance by ground, but it's also how indefendable the 3rd and 4th base are as well. This is like the rush map, more so than I think any other map in the map pool. And this is where Shin does thrive. GG. GG, well played. From the side of Classic, he wanted to hit his own timing. Like, typically when you're opening up Charge or Archon Storm, you're building up towards your own move out, but unfortunately he was stuck on the back foot, stuck at home. Once he saw all those Banelings, like, he was just pinned and trapped against the wall. And with that, that leads us into game number 2. It is going to be loser's pick. It's going to be Classic's map of choice, and we're going to be loading into Ley Lines. Let's go. Loading into Ley Lines here. Ley Lines being a, I would say, medium-sized map in the map pool. More defendable, of course, than Whispers of Gold. We'll get into it. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ley Lines, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is Shin. Here we go. Here we go. So for now, we are going to be getting to our natural. So far, Hatch Gas Pool, standard opener out of Shin. Likewise, a Classic across the map going for his own standard opener as well. So far, so good. Building up, we're settling in. And we'll see where we go from here. Now, after game 1, I don't expect Classic to once again go Charge or Archon. It's typically something that you mix into a series, but you don't necessarily heavily rely upon. I mean, I say that. I do believe that there's going to be a little bit more success here on Ley Lines if you try to go into that style, just because it is more defendable. Like, talking about the previous map, comparing it to this one, here we do have a much more narrow ramp coming into the 3rd base, so a little bit more defendable. Likewise, we have points of elevation here at the 4th as well, or at the forward base. So in general, it is easier to defend on this map compared to Whispers of Gold. So I would say that Classic would have more success, but we'll see. We shall see. Shin is going for his 3rd. Going for a much faster 3rd base, by the way, so very greedy play here out of Shin. To be able to afford this, Shin, I believe, is going to forego a queen. There we go. We have 1 queen on the way, but only 1 queen, so this is going to hinder queen production for Shin, but he's going to make up for it with, you know, a faster base, a better larva, better saturation, and in the long run is going to be more efficient here by Shin if he gets away with the lower queen count. So again, it is a risky move here out of Shin, as he does delay his queens. Behind this, a Stargate is being thrown down. We now have the 2nd queen starting up. With less queens to defend, it is possible that these oracles could do more damage, but a big cut on that one. Likewise the adepts as well. There's potential for a classic to abuse this. Meanwhile, Shin slipping in. I'll slip in from behind. Getting a free scat into the main. Not bad. Peels off his lanes, confirms the Stargate, confirms the Oracle. Adept shades out. But so far, Shin is keeping up. Shin is keeping up. One drone going to be falling, just the one. So 1-to-1 trade. From here. See how our players respond. So far, Shin is saturating his bases. Getting his on 3 queens, now getting a 4th. And because Classic lost his first Adept, because Classic went Stalker after the Adept, I mean, he has no Adept Harass. He has no Adept Aggression. Shin, he will be able to defend quite nicely here with the minimum amount of units. And even here, catching out another Adept as well. Oh my god! Deal some hull damage. But there's nothing really threatening Shin, so yeah, gonna be able to freely drone up. He gets away with his opener. Now the oracles are being active. Now they're pushing out across the map. But Shin should be fine. He's got 2 queens, has a Spore. Likewise, Spore here at the natural, Spore at the 3rd, Spore in every single base. He should be okay. We'll lose a drone. We'll lose multiple drones here. 2nd, 3rd, 4th drone going down. Ooh, for the Oracle though. Yeah, that was not worth it for Classic. The Oracles, they just have so much value, so much utility coming into the mid-game. With their stasis traps, with their pulsar beams. So better trade for Shin. As Classic does try to rotate towards one of the other bases. Shin getting a safety Roach Warren. As a reminder, last game, Shin he went into +1 melee into Ling Bane Hydra. This time, looking to go for a different setup here. Setting up his Roach Warren. This could just be for safety, or he could commit into Roach production. As the wall is a little bit messy. Let's say threaten the shade. Threaten the shade towards a natural. Classic, he rotates. We have a gateway explosion behind this. Classic, he wants that mineral line. Lings, they respond in time. Plenty of Lings. Adepts are forced back. And Shin defense. Now, with the amount of gates on the way, ooh, it's going to be a 6-gate setup. We have the Temple Archives working towards Storm. Not Colossus. Adepts, they get away. Alright, extra gateways being thrown down. Interesting. Hydrogen is spotted. Never mind, let's go. Okay, we're crazy. The Hydrogen is spotted by the Oracles. We cancel, go for the Spire. And Shin, I mean, this is what he likes, this is what he loves. We did mention before that Shin has been quite fond of his mutas as of late, so is going straight into Ling Roach Muta. Now, he shouldn't be going mass muta. I should emphasize this. This is not mass muta. This is enough mutas to harass. He's investing into +1 range, into Roach speed. It's going to be mutas here to hit the mineral lines, and then a ground-based Ling Roach army to defend against a counterattack. So Shin, he won't be neglecting his ground forces. It's going to be building up. Things are forced back. So far, Classic is unaware. He's getting a 4th base. This is telling Shin that he's safe, by the way. That Classic is expanding, he's teching, working towards Storm, upgrades, taking gases. And these things, their sole purpose here is to buy time. To buy time to keep Classic pinned at home, to keep him busy, and to make sure that Shin is safe to invest into those mutas. So far, doing a great job. Speaking of, here we go. 5 mutas on the way. That is enough to one-shot probes. We see Classic racing into a Fleet Beacon, double Stargate into Sky Toss. Rushing towards that late game. But can he get there? SHIN is morphing in those Ravagers. Again, as you mentioned, the Mutas adjust to harass. Lings that hit the 4th expansion. Classic up. He defends with the Oracles. He's pushing. Yo, Classic, can he break SHIN? SHIN needs supply blows. 11 Overlords. Oh my god, a laser. 11 Overlords on the way. Classic backs up. He backs up. He doesn't press his advantage. He retreats. He's throwing down a wall of cannons, a lot of shield batteries. Back in the main, nothing is set up here. The main and the natural are exposed. He does not know about the mutas. He has no idea. And again, 4 mutas, that is enough to one-shot. And here comes the ground army. Can SHIN break that 4th? Mutas are revealed. Probes are going down. Storm is done. Here comes the army. Catching out the Zealots. Zealots getting caught out. Decent Storm, forcing back SHIN. Lings, they do not break into the base. Massive Storm. Oh my god, the Lings, they get annihilated. And SHIN, he's not breaking through. Not yet. Now getting on top of the cannons. More Storms zoning away. Stands in the Storms. Mutas hit the natural. Stalkers are keeping up. Mutas are getting some damage, but not enough. Not enough damage here. Not yet. Oof. Oh my god, the Storms are insane. Oh shit, he stands in all the Storms. And Classic is holding. Oh my god. He's holding on. Remember, SHIN, he's down in supply. This is inflated supply with roaches, so looks to be deceiving. The soup does lie. Muta's going to be going down. Yeah, GG gets called. SHIN crumbles, and Classic ties up the series 1-1. We are going to the ace match. Whew. GG. GG, well played. It was definitely a cute move for SHIN to go into mutas the way that he did, to have it hidden, and the mutas, they had potential, they were doing some damage. Unfortunately, the ground army could not break through the defensive line. I think the most important part here is that Classic didn't know what was happening. He didn't know what was happening, but his own build was almost like blind countering SHIN. What I mean by that, if you remember, because Classic was rushing into the Fleet Beacon and rushing into Skytos, he had no intention of attacking. Which is why, before the aggression of SHIN was revealed, we saw that wall of cannons and shield batteries at the 4th base. Like, we saw wall of static defense because the initial plan was always 2 turtle up. Was always just 2 turtle up anyway. SHIN was not aware. He was not aware of this. He was not aware of the tech. He was not aware of the style that Classic was going for. So when he rocked up with his ground army, I mean, again, there was just a wall of defense there. We had, of course, the Storms ready as well. Classic was already taking a defensive stance just by chance, and yeah, just completely shut down the basically all-in that SHIN was going for. SHIN, he was not set up for a longer game. He was not set up for Hydras, for Lurkers, for Hive Tech. Not at all with that. GG. GG, well played. We're going all the way to the ace match. All the way to game 3. Let's go. Now, SHIN being a little bit too fancy. A little bit too fancy there, but a solid game nonetheless. And now we're getting into the ace match, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of El Dorado, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg from South Korea representing Gaimin Gladiators. It is SHIN. We go. What is the added number of probes for Protoss players in general for a macro game? It depends what kind of game state you're referring to. Like 3 base saturation is 66, like 4 base saturation is around 80. You don't want too many probes, otherwise that's going to hinder your overall size of the army. So yeah, it kind of depends on the phase of the game, to be honest. Does depend. But if you're referring to like sustaining like a proper like late game army, and if you split the map in half, then like between like 60 and 80 workers, I say between because I feel like initially you do want to reach 80 workers initially, but over time you're content with trading out workers, having a lower probe count just to have a larger army. Like there's a little bit more finesse towards the late game. where you're okay with throwing some workers away and having a smaller worker count. But the reasoning for that is because the Protoss army is more efficient. It's more efficient, and you often have to split up your army as well. So having a larger army has its benefit there. I'm referring to late game PvZ, but yeah, there's some finesse that's involved. For now though, settling in. Arco is settling in. Overlord does check the natural. And it looks like SHIN is setting up to expand here at the Triangular Third. Let's go. Setting up for the third base. Likewise, Robo opener. Oh my god, Robo at a classic. Okay, we're popping off. Despite the more passive openers that we've had so far in this series, we have a Robo first at a classic. Now, this could be a couple of different things. This could be the Soul Train. This could just be like the beginning of a quote-unquote Soul Train all-in with Immortals, with Sentries, with a Vanilla Gateway army. We could see a Twilight Council. If we see a Twilight Council alongside this, I would want to believe that this is going to be something like an Archon-based play instead. But for now, I'm leaning towards Immortals and Sentries and a 2-base all-in. A very niche build would be Robo into Bay, into like Disruptor drop or Colossus drop, but that we have not seen that in competitive play in like 2 years. Like it's been a long time. Okay, there we go. Immortals. This makes more sense. So no crazy rush into a Bay, and this is going to be a 2-base all-in. So 2-base all-in here out of Classic. The Overlord is denied by the Stalker. Now, this Stalker is very suspect. You do not open Stalker unless you do intend to hide some tech. Typically, it's not 100% the rule, but like around 70 to 80% likely. As there's a Gateway Explosion getting up to 6 gates so far. So far it's going to be a 2-base, 6-gate all-in. And I believe this is going to be with slow lots. But I say 6, getting up to 7, it's going to be 8 gateways as well. Now, slow lot all-ins used to be all the craze back in 2021, coming into 2022. That was back when Haas kind of invented the build during EPT Taiwan Hong Kong, where he deflects that, and then like everyone saw it, and I mean, it was a dark time when when everyone was trying it out themselves. So it's been a while. It's been a couple of years since this has been the meta, but it's back. It is here. It is back, and it hits like a truck. We've been focusing a lot on Classic. We do have a 4-minute Roach Warren from SHIN. It's an okay time with the Roach Warren. Third base being taken. SHIN drone up to 37. Not bad. Now focusing on Link production. And SHIN, he is now confirming. There we go. He comes in to confirm. He gets eyes on the gateways and more gateways. He knows. He now knows what's going on, and here comes a slow lot all-in. Now, you may be thinking, hold up, a slow lot all-in, does that even work? Like, do they keep up? The answer is yes. The reality is that early on, it's mainly melee units for the Zerg player, so the army comes to the slow lots don't have to come to the army. So they can trade very well and very efficiently here. Meanwhile, SHIN, he can hold on to the choke points. He gives up on the base. The hatchery is forfeit. He can defend here at the choke point. Lings, they do go for a big counterattack. Classic can break through. The answer is yes. He does. Oh god. Prism doesn't take any hits. They'll say bust through into the natural, and SHIN is in trouble. Roaches are amassing as we speak. He needs more time. He has to kite. He has to kite as best he can. Spore moving forward. Ling Roach from behind, trying to get into the Spore. Boys are being pulled. Roaches are going down. And the Zelts are trading well. They're trading very well here. They're getting some of the Roaches. They have to get the hell out of here, but they cannot. And Classic has done it. He has broken SHIN. The Prisms survive. The Queens are caught out. And the slow lot's all in. It's back. Oh, no. Again, it's been a couple of years since this was like proper meta, and we saw it quite frequently. Ooh, Prism goes down to the Spore, but there's nothing left on the ground. We have a sea of Zealots here, breaking through the natural, breaking through the main army. Lings across the map, they're being cleaned up by Zealot reinforcements. And Classic is going for the kill, going for the main. He's going for the main base. Pushing in, and there's just nothing left here for SHIN. He has a couple of roaches on the way. GG gets called, and Classic, he will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the next round. GG. Whew. Hi, papi. GG, well played. Classic, he will claim the series, will advance on. My condolences to Shin. Again, this build does thrive on smaller maps. This build was usually seen on... God, I'm trying to remember. Am I thinking Cosmic Sapphire? I think so. When was Cosmic Sapphire in the map pool? Hold on. Cosmic Sapphire. Wikipedia. I remember seeing this on Cosmic Sapphire. This was when... 2022. Yeah. So 2022 era of StarCraft, and the season before that as well. But yeah, these all-ins, they can hit like a truck. Typically, against this, you do need SimCity. You need SimCity, you need spine crawlers, specifically spine crawlers. You need these choke points as well. I do really like that we saw Shin try to defend at the wall, at the mineral wall, but because he went for a big Ling counter-attack, and bearing in mind, he went for the Ling run-by before the all-in had hit the field. Like, he didn't really know, or he wasn't quite ready for the all-in, or the all-in, again, like, it had yet to really push in. That Ling run-by in the end did hurt him more than anything. If the Lings were back at home, the goal would have been to defend at that choke point for as long as possible, to mass up roaches and spine crawlers behind that. As we saw, because it was only the queens, Classic, he was bold enough to actually drop over the wall. He dropped over the wall with that War Prism. Otherwise, the queens could have held the line. One queen in that choke point, like non-stop transfuses to buy more time, but very quickly that position was broken. Very quickly, Classic, he hopped over the wall, which was crucial, by the way. He was able to hop over the wall, was able to force the queens back. The choke point was non-existent, and then GG. Like, initially, I think it was really smart for Shin to try to hold there, but I don't think Shin was also expecting for Classic to hop over the wall the way that he did. Like, it was so brazen and so risky, because if he had lost that War Prism in doing so, that would have been game, right? No more reinforcements, no more warp-ins, like, no micro to juggle back the Immortals. Like, losing that Prism would have been huge. So it's a risky move at a Classic, but he pulled it off. He broke through the initial mineral wall, and GG. Like, that was game then and there when he broke through that location, that position, I should say. Oh. Regardless, GG, well played. Very tense series there between Classic and Shin. And with that does also mean that Classic advances on to face off against Hero in the next round. Shin, I believe he gets knocked down to face off against Rogue in the lower brackets. And we are not done. We are still wrapping up with the upper round one. Up next, we have two fresh players here. We have a Protoss and a Terran. Let's go. We have a PvT Clem. He's going up against Kior in a Protoss versus Terran matchup. Let's go.